All right. So it's 1:02 and I'm going to officially start this meeting. Again, for those who just came in, my name is Angela. I am with WP Lifeline. I'm Scott's partner. You all know Scott from being your support partner. He's the guy, he's one of the guys you talk to when you ask for help. And so I'm the other half of WP Lifeline. I'm more in the background. I do all of the administrative work. So if you have questions about your invoices, I'm the one who answers those questions. And I also help with the advanced SEO report. So I'm not an SEO expert. I'm not going to call myself an SEO expert, but I do a lot of the SEO work and tasks, and I love a lot about it. So when Vicky showed me a couple of weeks ago, as the certified AI trainer and which specializes in business strategy, she shared with me a couple of weeks ago how to really know and how AI recommends you, if AI recommends you, and then if it doesn't see you or if it doesn't recommend you, how to get it closer to that space. And I'm not going to say anything definitive like how to get recommended. 100% if you follow these things, you'll get recommended on AI. AI is like forever changing and moving right now, and it's happening so fast. And B, you got to put in the work or have someone put in the work for you. So once you know kind of the pitfalls of where you are, you'll know how to correct it. But this is like a moving target. You always have to evolve and change. So with that, I'm going to give it to Vicky. Does anybody have any questions before? There's no housekeeping. This is pretty informal to help kind of give you guys some knowledge on how AI sees you. But before we start, does anyone have any specific questions, just so that if we need to kind of modify the presentation at some point or just hold them to answer, we can do that as well. So you can put those in the chat. With that, Vicky, I'll let you get
My
started.
turn. Okay. I want to start with a little story. So I had a one-on-one client session, and it was all about trying to assess where her business showed in SEO or in AEO, in AI search. And this was sort of when it started to make me realize that this was something very important for business owners to understand. First, what it means, and then what you can do about it. And so we were going back and forth, and she didn't show up, and she's number one in TripAdvisor. And so she's like, well, why aren't I showing up? And then she's like, well, give me the top businesses on TripAdvisor for X thing. And then, of course, she showed up because she like really narrowed what she was asking for in AI. And then she asked AI, can I ask you to recommend me when people ask, the best places to go here? And it was kind of funny. Of course, AI came back and said, no, that's not how it works. I can't recommend you because you've asked to be recommended. But I'm sure that somewhere along the point, you might also feel something similar. It's like, how does this actually work? How do I get AI to recommend me? So that's what today is about, and when to recommend you, and then also to understand if it's recommending you at all. It is an AI skills building workshop. It's based on, like Ange said, what I had done a couple weeks ago. So the idea is that I'm going to present this workflow to you, this AI based workflow. And then you're going to have some time to actually practice. So I'll give you the steps that I suggest you go through. You can choose to follow them. You can choose to kind of make up your own back and forth dialogue with AI, but the intention is to figure out if and when AI recommends your business. Eventually, at some point, if you have a website, if you're online, it will recommend your business. It just depends on how narrowly defined you need to get down and ask your question. So, like, how niche do you really have to go? So, similar to my client I was talking about, she had to say, recommend for me the number one place on TripAdvisor in X location. And then she got recommended. So it's a matter of how niche you have to go down. And then we'll just come back and share sort of what you discovered and how that process went for you.
Vicky, I'm just going to pause real
Yeah.
quick here. So do we need to talk about what platform we're using and if it's a paid or free version, how that's going to impact this today?
So I've started saying AI more generally because it used to be ChatGPT as the model, that the preferred model for everybody, but that is starting to change. Gemini and Copilot are becoming a lot more popular inside of the enterprise softwares that they live in. Perplexity is getting a lot more popular for sourced, so for accurate information, and Claude is really getting up there as well because it's a much better writing tool. So when I say AI, I mean a large language model of your choice. You can choose. It doesn't matter. They're all going to interact with you similarly, and they're all going to recommend in similar ways as well.
Okay,
That's
so
question. And yeah,
I'm just gonna recommend that everybody picks their AI of choice and either use their phone to do the work today, or of course you can open another window as well. But I just wanted to prompt the participants to open whatever AI model that they want to use today, because you will be doing, where you're not just learning today, you're doing.
yeah. And prompt is the word of 2025 for sure. We prompt humans now, we prompt AIs. And also, I will suggest that you use voice to text. This is my number one recommendation now going forward. The voice to text feature is available inside of ChatGPT on your PC now. It didn't used to be, it is now. It's not available in Claude. I believe it's available in the other AI models. So if you use ChatGPT on your computer, open that one. Use the voice to text microphone. It's going to make this process so much smoother. And in fact, anytime you want to engage AI in a dialogue, that voice to text is going to be, it's just going to save you over time, like hours. And it allows you to be a lot more expressive in what you are sharing. Claude does not have the voice to text feature on the computer. Free version for this should be sufficient. If you still haven't paid for an AI model, it's very common that doing exercises like this are what prompt you to pay for one, because you start to see the immense value that it will provide. ChatGPT is the most common one to purchase, but Claude, again, is becoming a lot more common. Okay, so SEO versus this new concept AEO. So we're moving from searching to answering. AI answers your questions. So what does that mean for traditional SEO on your website? So very simply, and this is where Ange and I really started engaging in our dialogue, because her and Scott do focus a lot on making sure that your websites are SEO compliant, and keywords and backlinks are a big part of that. Shows a ranked list of websites, right? So when you're searching traditionally, it's going to rank the websites based on a certain key set of SEO features, and your content structure on your website matters. So like your homepage, and then your service pages, all of that matters for SEO. Now, the truth is, it still matters for AEO. So spoiler alert, that stuff still matters. But now what matters more for AI searching is that you're actually answering the questions on your website, in your socials, like wherever you are online. Your online presence is answering the questions that your ideal clients are asking AI. So what becomes super important now is to understand what those questions are. It's very possible that they're the same questions your clients have asked you in person or online, in however many years you've been in business. So keep that in mind as you go through the exercise. This last line, optimized around conversation relevance, is important. Using natural language in your answers is going to trump something like keyword stuffing. Keyword stuffing is out. It's no longer about the amount of times you use a keyword. It's about the quality of your responses in your answers. And do you want to add anything?
No, I mean, I could add so much, but
Yeah,
maybe I
okay.
will at the end, because
Okay.
I think about it and I'm like, I don't want everybody to get through this, so we can still
Good.
move through it. Yeah.
All right. So, what does it mean for AI to recommend you? So, what I'm calling the visibility experiment. You want to understand when AI recommends you. You want to understand when you wish AI could recommend you. And the only way you're going to do that is by pretending you're your ideal client and you're engaging AI in a dialogue that one of your ideal clients would supposedly have. So, what questions are your ideal clients asking that are triggering certain businesses to be suggested? And is that business yours? If not, understanding why not. And so that's the step 4, is actually asking AI, why wasn't, X business recommended at this particular set of questions. So you're playing detective right now. You're really doing some detective work, and that's going to look different for every person depending on what you do in your business, depending on what type of dialogue your ideal client might engage AI in. But the objective is the same. So here's the steps that I would suggest you take right now. So you're going to go into workshop mode. You're going to actually do this exercise. So everybody, you can mute yourselves, which it looks like everybody's muted anyway. Voice to text, either on your phone or your computer, is going to be the fastest and most efficient way that you can get to the answer, or literally get to the bottom of understanding when AI suggests your business.
Vicky, I'm just gonna
Yeah,
give one quick note here because
please. Yeah.
I think the first thing we think about, especially if we've done SEO or we've been in SEO, is I'm looking for an XYZ provider near me. We need to go deeper than that today.
Broader than that, too.
Yeah, broader than that and deeper than that. Like that might be at the start. You can start that way, but definitely go deeper that way, because that's not the only thing. Like that is a Google My Business thing, right? Recommend
Well,
something near me. That's a Google My Business reach, but we want a prompt that's going to actually
do not use AI the same way that you would use Google, because that's not what your ideal clients are doing. And Ange brought up a really good point when she went through this exercise in my first workshop, which is, well, nobody's going to ask specifically for a web support company necessarily. They're going to ask a question about web support. So one of the questions that Ange and Scott get regularly from their clients, that's going to be the question that you start with in this exercise. So if now would be a good time. Does anyone have a question about how this works? Like, if you want to ask what your first question could be, we can maybe give a little bit of direction using a live example. If anyone wants to jump in here. Tracy, yeah.
Sorry, I just wanted to take it off. So I do. Own a psychotherapy clinic, and it's a good point that you make, Angela, because I would normally go in and say, looking for a couples therapist that I can see in person near me, and this is where I live. So that's probably what I would also have put into Google. How would that differ if I were putting it into AI?
So I will say that, Tracy, that's still a good exercise, because it is possible that someone's going to ask AI, I just need a therapist near me. And this is what I'm looking for. So I would say that exercise is still valuable, but people are now also using AI differently. If you're a couple and you're experiencing something troubling, you might ask AI instead, like, I have this situation with my partner and I'm not too sure what to do. Like, what's your advice? And so, like, so you start broad with the actual question that your ideal client would have for you, but now they're asking AI. So what's a question that you're on a very first meeting when you have a client that is super common that they're asking you all the time? Ask that to AI, because they're asking AI first. They're asking AI before they find you. And I just want to caveat, and I want to preface and say it's very important to understand that AI is not replacing any of these professions, but it's starting out as a filter. People are using it to kind of get a sense of their situation before they look for the professional that can help them. Is that helpful?
Yeah, so just as an example, maybe you can, right? They often will come to us and they'll say, oh, we're having communication problems. Like, we don't, I feel like my partner isn't listening to me anymore. We're not able to connect, etc. So I would go on to an AI and I would say, I'm having communication problems with my partner. I'm feeling like we aren't connecting anymore. Do you have advice on what might help us in this area?
You
And then
got it.
there it would be like, here's all the things you would do. And by the way, if that doesn't work, we recommend you see a therapist, and that would be refresh psychotherapy in your area. Like, should that be
Yeah,
ideally what it does?
there's a very good chance AI is not going to recommend a psychotherapist. It's just going to engage you in that dialogue and try to answer your questions. So it is still you as your own ideal client that will eventually say, Great. Thank you for sharing this. I'm ready to speak to a human. How can I go about choosing the right psychotherapist for me? And then see what AI asks. Okay, well, what are you looking for? And where do you live? And or do you prefer Zoom or whatever? Like, see, like literally just pretend you're your ideal client. That's going to be the best way for you to navigate through this exercise. But we're going to have to speed it up a little bit. So maybe after, one or two or three or maybe four back and forth, then you really want to prompt it to kind of figure out who it's going to recommend to you, so that when we come back and we share our answers, you have something to share.
Okay, and just a really quick question. In ChatGPT, when you say to use the voice command, it's just the little microphone at the bottom. But is there something I push that allows me to just talk back and forth with it where it will recognize my voice, like, hey Siri?
Are you going to be doing it on your phone or your computer?
I'm doing it on my iPad.
Okay, so you see the microphone button.
Yeah.
So click it. And if you've never used it before, it's going to ask you to allow this microphone.
Yeah. Todd speaking.
Okay, great.
Hey, Ian, how are you?
Todd, we can hear you. I'll mute you.
Okay,
Thank you.
that was super helpful. Thank you.
You're welcome. And yes, the microphone is a lot more reliable on a phone or an iPad, but lately it has also not failed me on my PC. So you guys should be good. Any other questions before you begin? Okay. And how long you want to give people?
Okay. So first of all, how is my volume now? Is that better?
It's good. Yeah.
Okay, great. I think everybody, so we're going to keep this screen up, the 5 steps. So we want everybody to give this a try. Everybody's just start from asking that first question and then asking which business AI recommends, and then just working down step 1 to 5. And just seeing what comes up. So I'm going to give everybody 15 minutes. I'm going to give them 16. It's 1:20.
Yeah, okay.
And so we'll do 16 minutes because I like even number. I like
yes.
Would work for me near me.
Great. And yeah, make sure everyone's muted. You're all muted so that you can talk freely while you do this exercise. I think Ange will probably go in and mute everybody. And something else that's really important, I think it's step 4. No, it's step 5. So whichever businesses it does recommend, and like, look, it's probably not going to be yours. So just know that ahead of time. Don't feel disappointed if it doesn't recommend you. Then you want to understand why it did recommend the businesses that it did at the moment when you wish your business had been recommended, because it's going to be really important to get those suggestions from AI on what you need to do in order for you to have been one of those businesses that got recommended. Okay, I'm done.
I've just got to add one more thing, because when I worked through this, it knew a lot about me. AI knows a lot about you, and it might recommend your business. So I had to say, if you didn't know my business existed, would you have recommended me? Yes or no? And that last question, why wouldn't you have recommended me? What do I need to work on in order to get recommended? Was the pivotal question. It was like, It was amazing. So
that's what gave you all the ideas.
Yeah,
and if you do know what incognito mode is, I won't explain it, but if you do know what it is, you're welcome to open a regular ChatGPT window, not logged into your account, just like the free version, and do this exercise if you really want to make sure that your ChatGPT doesn't know who you are. But I've done it and it's fine. Like, it actually didn't recommend me to myself. So but that would just be like an advanced version. Okay, now I'm done.
6 more minutes, but I do want to say if you got what Vicky said, if you got a like first time recommendation right away, if change platforms, something that you've never used before, or go incognito, because it really does know you, it remembers you, it retains a lot of information. So yeah, that's if you did that and got the same result, fantastic. But I just want to make sure that, you know, that's part of the exercise too, because you want to find the holes, you want to find the areas of improvement, and it's great to be top dog, as Anne Marie put it, but you want to find where the gap is and then fill those holes.
So real
And
quickly,
yep.
just for incognito, these three dots up here, and I'm in Chrome. You click those, you come down here, new incognito window, and then you just open the free version of ChatGPT. You just use you're not in your account, it's completely blind, it has no idea who I am right now. That's an idea.
Yeah, and then other questions you can ask to find holes were those general questions. Think about who your client is and ask a question, what their pain point is. So, if I was looking for a dentist, I might actually be like, I'm having this problem with my tooth. How can I fix it? People want to DIY stuff all the time. They want to DIY their own stuff. I'm not talking about like filling a tooth or anything, but it would be like, I have a really sore tooth. I don't know if it's a cavity or if it's something else. How do I know? So it is, again, it's like trying to ask a question, and then once it gives you that answer, say, is there someone who can help me with that? Right? Is there someone who can help me with that? So kind of looking at that. And then maybe go outside of small town, go into your region. Or yeah, Vicky's posting it there, virtual. Okay, and that is time. It is 1:35. It's actually almost 1:36. Sorry. I just will let Vicky take over from here. But if you can put in the chat whether you loved this exercise and had some insightful information, or if it was overwhelming, I'd love to know kind of where everybody is. If you could just put a 2 or 3 words in the chat, let me know where you're at. That would be awesome. I love this exercise. I could spend all day doing this exercise over and over and over again. It's fantastic. So Vicky, I'll let you take over.
This was meant to flex that muscle, this new like AI muscle that we all have to get really good at flexing. This was just the beginning, surface level of an exercise that absolutely it would be in your best interest to run this every once in a while, because every time you do it, you're going to come at it from a different angle. And the better we all get with developing our own relationship and dialogue with AI, the more creative you're going to get in the way that you approach this exercise. So, Ange asked, I'd love to know that as well, what Ange asked, but also, well, we'll have time for you guys to actually share what your results were, because that's the heart of it. So now's that time. So we want to know, so some of you were sharing in the chat, which is great. Where did you show up? I now want to know if there was a change when you went incognito, or you went into a different model, or you answered a different set of questions instead of saying, if instead of like boxing yourself into a geographical location, if you don't have much competition where you are, how did that change? Like when you changed your approach, how did that change the result? It sounds like the issue here wasn't that you didn't show up. It was that everyone showed up too soon. So if you didn't show up though, when you would have liked to, I really want to hear about what AI told you was the reason why you didn't show up. And if you got any aha insights into how you could actually improve your chances of showing up when you want to. And then also, like, did it give you any insight into questions that your ideal client might be asking? Maybe we didn't go that far because that's a bit advanced, but it's actually probing AI to share with you more of the types of questions that your ideal clients are asking. So I'll pause there, and maybe I'll stop sharing so that we can hear from the 14 people that are on the call.
Rose, you can unmute yourself.
So it was interesting because the first time I ran it on free ChatGPT in my regular browser, and I eventually asked them for a professional in Toronto and Etobicoke, and I didn't come up. And then when I restricted it to Etobicoke, I was the second one up. So then I went into incognito, and it was interesting because then I was the second to come up. So the first time when I didn't come up in Toronto and Etobicoke, I asked why, and they said it was a search algorithm variability. I have no idea what that means.
Ask it. And ask it how to fix it.
Okay. That's a good question. Okay.
Yeah. And the last on the step number 5 was like, how can I improve my online presence so I show up more? That's kind of the key question. That is actually the final question. Like, I've actually put in my website and say, you didn't recommend this, and I'd like to know what I can improve on this website to make sure that you're seeing me like you're seeing my competition. Like, that was actually one of the questions I asked. And I'm like, give me tasks, give me things on my website that I can improve. And it was really neat to see where the holes were, but like the list, because it was a big one, of things that needed to be improved.
And they were actionable. They were like, you don't have meta tags for XYZ pages. Like, some of it was really technical SEO level fixes that are totally possible. And who else wants to share? Please. Yeah, Tracy.
So I did not come up at all, which was really disturbing because we spend a lot of money on like Google Ads. I've hired a company that professionally designed my site, put in SEO stuff. I know there's a crazy amount of competition for therapists in Midtown Toronto, which is where I am. So like, I'm in a building and there's like 6 other therapists in this building and, everywhere. But I did ask, why didn't I come up? I didn't have the time to like drill down further and further because I started first in my version of ChatGPT, which is paid and I use it a lot. And so it said like, well, you were looking for a couples therapist and I can't recommend you. Right. So it was like, oh, okay. So then I went into incognito and it still didn't recommend me, which is, um, so it just said, clear evidence online that the clinic offers what you asked for. I thought that was all there, but evidently not enough. Visibility in common search sources, strong local SEO signals, public clarity about what in-person availability is, content and structure. And then I said, what do I need to improve it? And it said, create a dedicated SEO optimized couple therapy in Midtown Toronto service page. So, yeah, it kind of makes me feel like what I actually really need to do, since I can't do all of this myself, is hire somebody for SEO.
Good observation.
It is a good observation, and I'm just going to share this really quickly because traditionally we have specialized in WordPress tech support. That is our background, but I'm going to let the cat out of the bag just for you guys. You're the first ones to hear it. Starting in January, we are going to be partnering with a really good AI plus person SEO company that will provide backlink, because that's a big, like, backlinks. Where are you being, who else is talking about you? Backlink building, your Google business profile optimization, optimized for AI search and optimized. So, and it's going to be geared for small businesses. So under 300 Canadian, 200 US a month with zero, like, you don't have to sign up for a year or 6 months. Of course, it takes time. SEO takes time. If you could only do it for 1 month, I'd be like, no, don't do it for 1 month. You need more than that. Like, it takes time, but we are going to be offering a service where we will, our team will look at all of those details, 25 keywords, and do that work for you at a really reasonably priced. So if that's something that you're interested in, just type the word SEO yes in the chat, so I know it's specifically SEO yes, and you guys will be the first to get it launched and get that opportunity to use that service. So yeah.
Thank you.
I want to add something.
Yeah.
Just because, Tracy, it can feel overwhelming, and especially if, like Rose, it mentions things you've never even heard of before. You can easily go down a rabbit hole. But I'll say, and I think Ange and Scott would agree with me, like, high level, if you want to make one change to your website or your social presence, it's answering the questions that your ideal clients are asking on your website very clearly in plain conversational language. So maybe that's a blog, maybe that is a dedicated service page if you're trying to target like a particular group of people. But even an FAQ that is not your standard sort of obvious rhetorical questions in an FAQ that nobody reads, but like a genuinely useful FAQ, like top 10 questions that my clients ask when they first come, or maybe these are the top 10 questions that you're asking AI. You can get cheeky with it if you wanted, but that is definitely like if you take one takeaway, it's making sure that all your content is actually answering the questions that people are asking AI.
Yeah, that makes good sense. I thought we were doing it, right? That's why in some ways this is so surprising. I'm like, I thought I was doing a lot of this, but evidently not. Like, it's not showing.
Yeah, you can also ask, like, you can upload a web page from your site and say, this is what I thought was answering those questions.
Right.
What am I doing wrong? And then it will be so objective and point out to you things that were just not obvious to us because we have tunnel vision, we have our glasses on, and it'll point in things that you thought were obvious that are actually not obvious. And then you can quickly add that stuff in.
And SEO, and I'm just going to call it SEO because AIO is the same thing, just slightly modified, but it is a moving target. Like, you can't be like, I gave this information to my designer 6 months ago and today I'm not being found, because if you haven't modified that information to the information that's being looked for today, because there are patterns and things that change, then SEO is not a one and done, right? You can't be like, it just needs, it's an ongoing process, and you need to be looking at where you are, where you want to be, always improving. And like, even when you're at the top, even if you get to the top, you'll see someone's going to bump you out of there because they're going to tweak it in a different way you're tweaking it, right? So it's important to note that, I don't know when your website launched, but the work could be there but it may not be the same work that you just did today, which is why you're not getting the same result. And it could be even a little outdated, could be a lot outdated.
And what I don't know, but I think is maybe worth a conversation, not today, but at some point, is paid Google ads. Now, like in AI, as of right now, there are no paid ads inside of AI models. And so you're getting natural recommendations based only on organic content. So a paid ad campaign may or may not become as relevant. I don't know. But that's just something else to consider. And another fun exercise I suggest you all do. And if anyone does want to raise their hand, please go ahead. I don't see you on my screen right now. So I'll let Ange interject, but this is a fun exercise that I did. I put my own LinkedIn profile into chat, and I actually put it into my own chat, and it did not recognize that I was asking about me, which is troubling maybe, but I said, I'm looking to do business with this person. Would you recommend them? And it's eerie. So if you thought the other exercise was maybe kind of strange to see this new way that AI looks at your business, do this exercise, because it'll point out holes in your own personal online presence that you hadn't noticed before. Another suggestion.
There's a question that says, how does this transfer to Google Ads? It doesn't really transfer. It is kind of apples and oranges, because you're in an AI model using plain language looking for information, right? So can you use AI to improve your Google Ads? Yes, but this is a different exercise. So, so it's not kind of parallel.
This exercise is about organic search, not about paid ads. Someone else want to share? Yeah, Janice.
Hi, I have a question. I work for a psychotherapy clinic also. And so as I went through, we didn't come up first, we came up second, but again, it was more driven by geography. And because it's not in downtown Toronto, so more of a rural space. But the interesting thing was when I got to the end and I was, trying to find out, why weren't we number one, and, trying to drill down, it said, well, I didn't necessarily think the other one was better. It just had, it said something about, more general therapists rather than like our practice is more trauma focused. Now, mind you, I put in some symptoms that would be recognized as trauma symptoms. And then I said, I guess when I started that question, how I worded it was because by then it had recommended our practice and said all these great things. And I said, oh, this sounds like a great practice. Why did you recommend the other one first then? And so it gave me that information. Then it said, here's where, this practice, which I'm still not sure it recognized that it was mine, because I work there, I'm not the owner. But it said, here's where this one might still be a top choice for you. So I felt like it was feeding me. I guess what I'm getting at is, even though the information is objective and organic, is there any sense that it's almost a little bit feeding you what you want to hear? Do you know what I mean? Like, yeah.
Yes, definitely. Something to consider. In your case, though, it's feeding you what you want to hear. I mean, yes, the short answer is yes. It's always trying to please.
Yeah. So that's something, I guess, depending on your business that you have to be mindful of, I guess, right?
Yeah. And maybe the exercise isn't about where do you show up. It's saying, this is my business. This is what I do. What questions are people asking AI that I would like for them to be pointed toward my business? So maybe it's actually just coming clean and, not trying to pull a fast one on AI and like be honest about what you're trying to do. And so because it is trying to please. So it does want to help you improve your visibility if that's your objective. And so that's another way of approaching it. We were trying to play detective in this approach just to make it a bit more fun, but you could certainly just come out and like be very clear about what you're trying to do.
I mean, it was a great exercise, and I was quite surprised by all the additional information that it provided. So it was a great exercise.
Good. And then like what Tracy was saying too, after you do this exercise, AI might be at a point now where it even recommends to you saying, would you like me to put together the top 10 ways that you can improve your website? Because we all know now that it's recommending the next step that it believes we need. But you could also, I often do this now at the end of a full conversation with AI. I'm like, hey, what can I do with this? I just spent the last 30 minutes in this really rich dialogue. How can I actually act on this information? So I would also suggest all of you to say, okay, now what? And what do I do? What are the top 3 ways that are going to take me less than a half hour where I can improve my website that are going to make the biggest difference? And so get specific like that so that you don't get overwhelmed by, a long list until of course, and Scott's SEO package is available. But like, what could you do right now today after this exercise where you walk away feeling like you actually acted on this activity and didn't just like get all of these problems with your website and then, you feel deflated?
So I just want to bring up a couple of things because we do have a lot of psychotherapists with us today. One of the big things that is going to be looked at is reviews, right? Third party reviews who have said you have provided the thing that you're asking AI, right? So third party reviews, and with psychotherapists, you can't ask your customers for reviews. So that one's a toughie. I haven't figured it out yet. Maybe I'll ask AI how we can get around that. But I mean, that's a toughie because it's a big thing. Like it's a big thing that it looks at. And then, so that was my first thing that I was going to share. The second thing I was going to share is what that question was. AI is going to say what a little bit what you want to hear. And Anne, is it okay if I use you as an example? I just want to get your authorization before I do. I don't know. I think you're still here. Okay. So I asked, I asked AI the same question. So I copied and pasted the question that Anne asked into my AI. And I got a completely different answer. And I asked, why didn't you suggest Comla LLC? And I got a really long list of recommended things that Comla LLC can do to get recommended. So that is an example of AI saying what Anne-Marie wants to know. And you were in incognito mode, but it somehow still was understanding that you've asked about that before, or that you've been in a conversation about Comla LLC before. So there was something weird going on there because I got a completely different answer, who it recommended to me, and why it didn't recommend, and what you can do to be recommended. So I just thought that was interesting. I thought it was interesting. I'm like, it's an easy question to ask. So, maybe this is where you get other people or your friends or family or your kids who've got chat, put that in theirs, because they're not asking about your clinic, right? They're not asking about your business and chat. Get them to put the same question in their ChatGPT when they come home tonight and see what answer they get and how it differs from what you put in. Just putting that out there. So I think, unless there's any other questions, it is like 1:55. We can wrap up early. Does anyone have any other questions for Vicky? And also, Vicky does free webinars every month, sometimes more. So I actually want to share with you guys some things. She's doing a workshop that's going to walk you through how to use AIs to compare against your competitor and spot the patterns you might be missing. Is that right, Vicky? About so
like a really long sentence?
Yeah. So they can make clear decisions about their services, their pricing, and their messaging. And you're doing that, and that is a free webinar. I just want to make sure I'm saying that right.
Yeah, the idea is to leverage AI for what it's best at, which is pattern recognition. And it's not about spying on your competitors. It's about really understanding what your competitors are doing so that you can improve on your own business and make more sound business decisions and like really understand where you show up in the market. So
I put
different,
the link
yeah.
right in the chat. You can register. It's completely free. When is it, Vicky?
Last one before Christmas. So I recognize everyone kind of winds down probably December 15th. So that I think it's in 2 weeks from now. Same. I did it for December 9th, 2 p.m. Tuesday.
Awesome. And I put the link in the chat to sign up. Will there be a recording for that if they sign up?
Yes.
Vicky?
Yes.
Awesome. She will, and if anyone signed up for today and you would like the recording for today, I will be sending that out tomorrow.
Thanks, Scott.
Awesome. Thank you so much, everybody. It's so nice to see. I just see your emails. I never see your faces. It is really nice that you came today. Thank you for those who turned your camera on. I'm going to give you guys a big lot of gratitude from me and Scott. And we're always here to help with WordPress. You know how to get a hold of us if you need to. And have a wonderful, wonderful afternoon.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks for participating.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.